Something has changed in the modern zombie film. Back in 2008, actor and writer Simon Pegg wrote an article where he highlights a disease spreading in the genre. Zombies shouldn't run. What used to be a slow, fumbling creature has transformed into this. His article was a response to the release of the series Dead Set, where a zombie outbreak takes place on the set of the television show Big Brother. This series featured running zombies too. Even though he praised the show, Simon felt that running has stripped the zombie of its power as a metaphor. So, what are zombies a symbol of? Maybe it sounds obvious when you hear it, but Simon explains that a zombie is simply a personification of our deepest fear: death. A zombie was traditionally slow, clumsy, weak, and often absurd, but like death itself, it will close in on you relentlessly. For most people, death arrives slowly, and if you act smart, it can be kept at bay. Drinking less, cutting red meat, exercising, and so on can be thought of as the shotguns, cricket bats, and shopping malls of our regular lives, according to Simon. In the zombie film, death arrives as a creature that wants to devour you, while in real life, it could be anything from a drunk driver to the cancer in your DNA. The origin of the word zombie is most likely West African, brought to Haiti by slaves. In Haitian folklore, this word took on a new meaning and was seen as the product of spells by a voodoo sorcerer. Writer Amy Wiland has an excellent article on these roots called "A Zombie is a Slave Forever." She writes that in Haitian folklore, death was seen as the only true escape from slavery's brutality, and by extension, death was a spiritual return to Africa for the slaves. But in the context of slavery, such an escape was not attainable because often slave drivers on the plantations were slaves themselves, and sometimes even voodoo priests. It meant they knew how to use the fear of zombification to keep the slaves under control. Suicide, for example, was thought of as a way to regain ownership over your own body, but with the looming fear of voodoo and zombification, slaves may have thought twice before committing suicide, thus denying them this spiritual return to Africa in the afterlife. So as Amy summarizes, to be a zombie was a slave's worst nightmare, to be dead but still a slave working the cotton fields forever. Racial undertones were still very much present when George Romero modernized the zombie film. In Night of the Living Dead, an African American tries to fend off a pale mob of zombies, but, and here's a spoiler by the way, instead of being eaten, he's killed by the white police force that was supposed to protect him. With police failing to distinguish the black protagonist from a zombie, Romero is tapping into the history of abuse of African Americans. It means we can think of the zombie as a creature without consciousness who's unable to criticize an oppressive system, whether that system is slavery in the New World or if it's the American justice system. In my view, it feels even more fitting that many modern zombie films play out in supermarkets, since they may be seen as symbols of the mindless consumerism of the present day. This perspective should not be forgotten when we hear Simon call the zombie the most potent metaphorical monster. It makes it even easier to agree with him when he says that death should be a disability and not a superpower. A zombie is supposed to be a docile, submissive creature, not a rapid, superhuman killing machine. Although there were fast zombies before it, 28 Days Later was the film that really popularized the fast zombie. Calling them infected doesn't make it less of a zombie film, by the way. Since its release, more and more films have featured running zombies. According to another writer, Davia Sills, this change, inspired by 28 Days Later, simply reflected the zeitgeist of the early 2000s. The film came out 1 year after the 9/11 attacks. It felt like an increasingly dangerous world full of jihad, anthrax, and swine flu, where monsters on film became more terrifying too. Even though Simon might be right when he says speed ruins the metaphor, filmmakers perhaps felt they had no choice but to make zombies faster and deadlier when humanity faced these new real-world threats that felt more and more horrible. But even if increased speed makes sense logically, it changes the audience's emotional response to these films too. It simplifies and clarifies the threat, argues Pegg, reducing any response to an emotional reflex. It's the difference between someone shouting "boo" and hearing floorboards creak in an upstairs room, a quick thrill at the expense of a more profound sense of dread. Furthermore, the slow zombie has an absence of aggression, which means their slowness makes them somewhat sympathetic creatures. Pegg points out how the blank stare of a slow zombie makes them anti-heroes and creatures that can be pitied. Instead of having them moan with a sense of longing, the fast zombie screeches and runs like velociraptors. And when they do, they lose their ambiguity. There's no subtlety in them. They've become creatures who are just mean.